Right. Hello everyone and welcome to the first edition of What They Did and How They Did It from Seaways Cafe here at Friday Thought. Today we are joined by Paul Oxborough and Jay Lucas from Mental Health Motorbike. Now Paul has been a community development worker for 25 years. This has meant supporting and counselling a wide range of people. Their aim is for Mental Health Motorbike to be the signposting service for the biker community to explore the next steps on their road to getting better. Paul and Jay, welcome to the Seaways community. Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks, Mike. It's an absolute pleasure to be joining you today. I understand this is the very first of a series of podcasts, and we actually feel very privileged to be invited to be the first. So thank you very much for that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, and it's our first podcast as well that we've been invited onto, so I think it's celebrations all round.
Absolutely, you know, let's hope this is a start of things to come, and you know, let's get your word out there and get people listening to what you've got to say. Because, like I say, I think this is going to be apparent to so many people that are maybe struggling through these difficult times, these uncertainty. You know, so you know, let's get things kicked off by saying, you know, where did it all start? You know, Mental Health Motorbike. Where did this all evolve from? How did you two meet? You know.
So it's a funny journey, really, because I was a youth and community worker down in Milton Keynes on a London overspill estate. I was a school-based youth worker, and I first met Jay when he was 11 years old. He was one of my first youth club members. He came through the door, and he came through the door with a friend that he'd grown up with, a guy called Dale Caffrey. And, you know, over the years, Jay and the gang sort of did loads of projects at the youth club. And, you know, it was a big part of their sort of formative years turning into young adults. So we met I was a professional youth worker working with teams. And, you know, over the years, Jay went on, obviously became a successful professional. We lost touch. And then we sadly came back together when we lost one of our friends who was Dale, one of the original youth club members. And it was his funeral that we decided we need to do something around mental health, because there's so much around for our families, for our friends, for colleagues. And we thought, how do we do this? How do we leave a legacy for Dale and his family? And, you know, we just felt the need to do something.
Brilliant. Now, oh, sorry, Jay. Sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I was just going to add to that even this was way before the lockdown things were going on, and I think Paul, even way before we met at the funeral, had a seed of this idea in his head, because he bought this motorbike which he named the Goodwill Chariot. So it was destiny that this was going to happen, and it was just the funeral was a real catalyst to get things into action, because we were seeing around, you know, our friend sadly took his own life, but you just see it all the time on social media. It's popping up, another person within our networks or who we knew, or a friend of a friend, typically young males as well, who were taking their lives. And we just thought, we have to do something about this. We all need to step up and do something, anything, to try and save more lives, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I guess for yourselves, you know, setting up, getting going, you know, how's the support been for you? Has there been a good support network there?
I mean, I've worked in it's what's known as the third sector. So this is the sector that sort of generally works with people and works with communities and educational. And it's called the non-formal education sector. And I, for many, many years, have run a number of businesses, and we're always sort of struggling to get interest. We're always struggling to find the finances to successfully do the work that's needed. And it's very much about development. It's very much about education. And one of the things that really frustrates me is that people aren't supporting these things. But what surprised me when we set up the Mental Health Motorbike is how quickly the network of bikers suddenly sort of came together and said, we really do need this. And ever since sort of day one that we sort of put our presence out there, we've been having engagement. And it got to the stage where literally the motorbike needed servicing, it needed some new tyres, it needed some work, probably about £700-800 for the work. So I took it to a local garage in Chesterfield, just with getting the work done. And I got talking to the owner there, And literally within 20 minutes of having that conversation, he came and said, look, I'm going to have a chat with my director, my co-director. And within 20 minutes, they'd actually said, we're going to cover the servicing. We're going to provide you tyres, as many tyres as you need for that bike. We're going to get that bike and keep it on the road. And we thought it actually made me quite emotional when this happened, because it wasn't something we was asking for. And I suddenly thought, maybe we are onto something special here. Maybe this is needed more than we really think it's needed. So SD Motorcycles in Chesterfield, they validated what we was doing from the very, very beginning. And ever since, it's just gone on and on and on. And people are saying, what do you need? How do we move this forward? So for me, I'm really, really positive that this will work.
Absolutely. Now, so what's your aim sort of moving forward? How do we reach more people? How do we get the word out there? Give them, how do we tell people that there is a place for them, someone to talk to, somewhere to be? How do we get that out? What can we do?
Jay's the strategy man. He knows all the...
right, Jay, down to you.
Well, yeah, we've given up with planning, because every time we plan something, a massive obstacle like lockdown gets in the way. But we've been really good because we've just pivoted. We had so many plans for the next 6 months with events. I wasn't even supposed to be in the country, and I was working from overseas on the project. I think we had 6 events lined up to go to all these biker community shows, but the lockdown has totally changed all of that. So we'll come to what we want to do in the future, but right now we've had to pivot from these in-person events really down to setting up the Facebook group, really, and the website. So the Facebook group has been our main place at the moment. That's where we're holding conversations. We're hosting a virtual ride out. So it's been every weekend. We're on our 6th one. Our 6th one's coming up, and we really get a whole group of people together, and we're talking. If people have got things they want to talk about mental health, we're there to do that. But we're just trying to relieve social isolation as well. Get the community talking, getting each other known to each other, so we can support each other. And mental health doesn't all have to be doom and gloom. We want to grow and foster positive well-being. So we don't want people struggling on their own with their own crisis, which they can contact us about. If people are in crisis, we're absolutely there to help them. Paul's fantastic. He'd be bang on as soon as you message him or the message comes through. Paul or someone else from the team will be there to help you, and we're there to talk whenever. But with the virtual ride outs, we want people to share their inspiring stories, their little challenges they've overcome. And you wouldn't believe the people we've had on this group, people who sit back and you think they're quiet or they don't think they've got a story to tell. And you start hearing all the adventures they've been on or the projects they're creating and how they're overcoming little challenges in their day-to-day life, especially now in lockdown. But we feel like as a community, if we come together and share these challenges, we can do something quite amazing, even from these challenging times. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. We want people in the Facebook group, get people talking, helping each other out, trying to lift each other's moods, trying to support each other when we're not in a good place. So that's our sort of our mini mission for the lockdown. And then going forward is one of the big projects. Well, we've got lots of ideas, but we've got to sort of be a bit strategic of what we implement and when, because of resources, because this is all volunteer led. So we've got like the cycle company offering out with tires and things like that and servicing, but we don't have any funds. Everything's coming out of our own pockets at the moment. We can't even go out and fundraise, which was a plan because of the lockdown. So we're trying to use what we've got to hand. But the foundation, this is another fantastic initiative we've got, and this is purely come out of research. So my background is in design and innovation, where it's all user-led research. So we develop services and products for people's needs. So me and Paul went off and we spent some time at which show was it, Paul? If you can just remind me, there's lots happened since then.
news show down at Excel in London. You know, it was the big one down in London, which was really interesting.
Yeah, so we spent some time up there talking to different motorcyclists who have overcome mental health issues or are still struggling with them. And we've come up with this great concept of the Mental Health Foundation, where we take individuals or teams who've got an idea that they believe, or a project that they believe will improve and grow their positive well-being.
Mm.
Or it might help other communities or individuals with their well-being. And we want to support that project and turn it into a fully fledged, functioning service or club or whatever it is. So what we do, we have people apply through the website, and this is really in testing and prototype stage at the moment. So we're right at the beginning of it, but we're going to take their ideas. We're going to explore that idea more with them. Is there other ways we could do it? What resources do we have? And then we're going to match that project with our diverse network of supporters who, again, have come, volunteered their resources, their time, their knowledge and expertise. So we'll take that project, we'll see where the gaps are with it, and can we match it with our community and bring that project to life. So that project will go on to serve others and their well-being and their mental health. But again, it's all community led, all within the biker community.
So can I share?
I don't know if you want to add to anything to that, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to share an example. So an example of that could be, you've got a young woman, she's just passed her bike test, and she's always wanted to do an off-road adventure, but she doesn't know how to do it. So what we would be looking at doing is creating a safe group for her to do that with. She might need a little bit of training, so we'll look at sort of a training provider that might be able to donate some free training sessions or reduced rate training sessions. She might need some extra bit of kit. But what we're doing is she will see that as part of her long-term recovery, because she's pushing herself outside of her comfort zone. So we will take the barriers away. We will help with some of the financial side. We will work with them to make this vision happen. But what we're then saying is, once you've done that, we want you to be part of the network that then pays back. So you become part of you're almost like an alumni member. You're part of like an ambassador. So you come and help us with fundraising. So whatever we've invested into that activity, you try and recover that money through fundraising. And that will, again, break down people's social isolation. It will break down where they are, with regards not being around people. And a lot of what we're dealing with is people are very lonely. People are quite isolated in their communities. But biking brings people together. And this is where it's been particularly hard for a lot of people during lockdown, because they haven't had that stimulation. So the virtual ride-outs have been quite useful for people. But what bikers want is to be around other bikers. They want to be at the cafe. They want that place back open again. They want to go network and talk bikes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're very, very excited about this, Mike. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Paul, I know we touched on briefly, obviously before today, about the mental health first aid course that, people can, you can train people to become mental health first aiders, which I've already expressed my interest in, because I'm in the right place, with us being such a biker hotspot, such a strong following of bikers that, and with me speaking to hundreds of bikers a day, I feel that I'm in the right position myself to be someone that people can come to. So I know I've expressed my interest in that. Is there any way that other people can, from various towns, cities, locations, that could be of service to this cause?
Yeah, I mean, one of the lucky things that we've got within our team is that we've got a third member who's a very experienced. He comes from a military background. So he was a military medic over in Afghanistan and various tours of duty. And then he went on to work for the Coast Guards. So he called himself the dope on the rope. So he was the guy that they lowered onto the boats when nobody else had the bottle to do it. He was the medical sort of first point of contact, rescuing people off boats, making sure that they were safe. So Andy Elwood is a tremendous guy, but he's also qualified to run the government mental health first aid course. So it's a 2-day course. It runs over 2 days. And what that does,
Three.
3 days.
There's a 3-day course, yeah.
Yeah. And what that course does is prepare you for, it's about spotting the signs when somebody's in distress or crisis. And it's about asking the right questions to get them signposted into the right support. So what we've got is this very ambitious plan. When I work with people like Jay, a simple idea turns into a very ambitious idea. But our ambition really is to get every town and city across the UK registered with a mental health motorbike, mental health first aider. So we will create the network of first aiders all across the country. And when you sort of said, this is something you're interested in, it really sort of made me happy, because I didn't know whether people would be interested. But I think having a cafe like yours, where there's a number of people that have got that sensitivity towards the bikers' needs, that can take them to a quiet corner and just have a little chat with them and say, we've got your back here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are going to look after you. It's not going to be an easy journey, but we care enough to give you a bit more support other than just serving you some food and giving you a cup of tea. This is what's going to make the motorbike community much more family orientated. We care about each other. So that's the plan. Every town and city across the country, we want mental health first aiders, and we will put them on the map, and there'll be a little sort of flag on the map to show that every town has got somebody that you can talk to if you're a biker.
Yeah. Now, I'm just going to bring your website up here so that, you know, we can carry on talking while. Now, let me just put that up there. There we go. Can we all see that?
Yep, that's up.
Yeah. So obviously we've got your details at the top of the page there, you know. So I guess people will be able to, people will be kept updated through the website if they follow you on social media, on Facebook, Mental Health Motorbike, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, do you want to just share how best people contact us? There's a number of ways you can get hold of us.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to bear with us here. You know, we've had to completely change what we were doing, and we've done this at rapid speed to get the website up, to get the Facebook group going. So through the Facebook page and in the group, you can message us straight through that as well, and you know, we'll be in contact with you there. Or you can send us an email, which is on the web page. Now, there's some really, you don't have to come through us as well. You know, we're there to act as a first port of call if you want to contact us, but we also steer people to the resources section on the website. So on the second tab along the top there, you'll see there's resources, and underneath there is a whole host of numbers to call, organisations to contact. We've got guides on there for veterans struggling with mental health. We've got coping strategies. You know, we're here to support people and to be that first port of call, and we're more than happy to help you out. But if you don't feel comfortable talking to us, there's a whole load of other people out there as well. Yeah, that you can also talk to.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can see, but I'm just going through your website now and showing what is actually available. And, you know, what you have under your categories is just, wow, there's covering so many bases there. I mean, it's just, there really is something for everyone that may need it, you know, and it just goes to show how many people, you know, you can reach out to if they are just, if they're prepared to, if they think they need help, you know, they can find it here, basically.
Yeah. I mean, there's everything covering from depression to suicide to anxiety. I mean, and certainly now with the lockdown, you know, not everyone's sitting in the category of feeling depressed, but I know that the anxiety's gone through the roof at the moment. People who didn't normally suffer with anxiety and now have got these other concerns of, you know, they haven't got their freedom to go out on their bike and do all the things that relax them and releases the pressure after a hard day at work. Now you know, a lot of us are stuck indoors. We've still got to work, or we haven't even got a job anymore to go back to. There's just so much pressure and that anxiety of how are you going to pay the bills at the end of the month? How am I going to get through this? When's it all going to end? So mental health now is just, I think this lockdown is going to highlight a lot of underlying issues. and a lot of issues that people never knew they had. You know, from our resources on our webpage, there's something for everyone there.
Yeah.
I think it's probably worth, anybody that looks at the website, it's probably worth me apologising at this stage, because it does feature the BMW R1200 GSA quite a lot. And I apologise. I'm at that age now where I need a bike that's a little bit more comfortable, that can take me the long distances because my bones rattle. But, this is open to all bikers. It's not just BMW people. It's just the bike that we've chosen. And at the moment, the branding's all going to change over the next few weeks, few months. And it will be more sort of generic bike branding. And I think the important thing is that we are trying to create a community as a group of volunteers. So our biggest challenge is how we sustain that. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, we are asking for people to go to the website, click on the Get Involved section and go to volunteer. If you've got something you can give to us, if you've got a service that you can offer, there's a number of ways. You can register as a volunteer and come and help us out at events. So we'll be doing a whole range of events. That will include giving out information, it will be fundraising, it will be talking to people on a one-to-one basis. We want to be there, we want to be in the thick of it, support, but we can't do that with such a small team. So we need the mental health professionals out there. We need to get people skilled up in understanding the mental health signs, but we also need, sort of more volunteers. But we're also looking for people to help with the foundation. So you can go to the pledge section on the website, and this allows any company that feels that they want to get behind us to actually pledge a service. So it could be a human resource, it could be some financial support, it could be some resources that they could give. And at this stage, we're not saying we're going to take anything from you until somebody on the foundation identifies. So you might be a solicitor out there, we might need a bit of legal advice, or you might be an insurance company. All you're doing at the moment is pledging a support to the service. And at some stage down the line, we'll phone you up and say, can you help us out? So it's just a case of really sort of looking for people to get behind us. We're always looking for people to get involved and support what we're doing.
You might even be a cafe with a campsite.
Absolutely, yeah. 5-star campsite and glamping site, absolutely.
Well, there you go.
Nice drop in there, Jay. Thank you very much.
But on a serious note there, I'll come back to you in a minute, Jay. I mean, we are looking to bring all of our volunteers together. We're sort of thinking, how do we do that? And we're sort of thinking, maybe we look at getting them over to your place for a weekend, and we actually can run some sessions about how, our code of conduct, how we want to work with people, how people can engage with us. I think just having maybe a couple of days over there with you guys could mean so much to the development of this organisation.
Well, by the time this bungalow is finished, I've got 2 new bathrooms in and everything else. I'm going to be able to accommodate 20 people here at Seaway. So, well, 20 minimum, there's always room for more. So, more the merrier, as they say, So watch this space, I think, is the key there. Who knows what could happen. So I think, we've covered so many bases, and I think, so many people are going to gain so much from what you've spoken about just now. But finally, what is the best advice you could give to someone that is maybe waking up on a morning and thinking of, what is the best advice you can give to someone that maybe isn't where they want to be at this moment in time?
I think my advice to people at the moment, and this is based on my personal experience of what I'm doing, is to switch off the 24-hour news. I mean, what people are doing is filling in time on their news channels, and things are getting sort of broadcast that shouldn't be broadcast because it's not factual. So people are getting sucked into this fear. So the first thing I would say is maybe listen to the news in the morning and then don't engage with it for the rest of the day. Don't go on social media. Reduce the amount of time you're spending on social media. Use the screen monitoring and think, right, today I've spent 6 hours on social media. Tomorrow I'm going to halve that, but I'm going to take on something interesting. I'm going to go and do the garden, or I'm going to go out and walk for that extra sort of 2 hours that I'm not on social media. I'm going to fill my mind with something a little bit more positive. So it's about sort of Also, just being a little bit kinder to people, because there's two camps in the motorbike world at the moment: those that go out on the bikes during lockdown, and those that have got their bikes locked up in the garage. Everybody is suffering at the moment. People know that when they get back out on their bikes, their headspace is going to be in a better place. So people are struggling as a result of that, but they're choosing to keep their bikes locked up in the garage. Respect for doing that, big respect. And the ones that are going out, let's not beat them up. You know, they're going out because they're going out. It's their choice. Absolutely. So my advice is don't be nasty to them. Don't go on Facebook and run them down. You know, just accept that it's happening. But just, if you're going out on your bike, just be sensible. Think about the risks. You know, you're putting more burden on the NHS if you have an accident. So maybe don't razz it around as much as you normally would. Just be a little bit more sensible. But also be alert that there's people that's not been driving for sort of 5-6 weeks. So they're going to be a little bit rusty. So just watch out. You know, and that's all my advice really, is just be a bit kinder to others and switch the news off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'll just add to Paul, comprehensive list there, but don't assume as well. Some people are out on their bikes because they've. Sorry about that. Am I still here, guys?
You are, yeah. We can still hear you.
Hello. Oh,
you're still there. We can hear
me.
Yep.
Yeah, you're still there, Jake.
Technology.
I was going to say, yeah, still here. Let's not assume that people are out on their bikes just for a ride as well. Some people are still using their bikes to get to work, to go and drop off vital supplies and go and see loved ones in hospital, etc.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I think, you know, what we've covered today is absolute gold, and, you know, there was some really strong advice for some people out there that really need it. So, you know, Paul and Jay from Mental Health Motorbike, I really, really do thank you for your time. Thank you for joining the community. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. And we really look forward here at Seaways to work with you in the future, you know, to share what you're doing, to incorporate what you're doing here. It's endless. It's absolutely endless. So, you know, thank you very much for letting me become part of what you do, and also for you reaching out to Seaways as well. So I think, you know,
I'd just like to say as well, Mike, thank you for reaching out to us, because I think what you've done is validate our existence and the need for a service like what we're providing. I think it's really good to hear that you're somebody that understands the biking community, and you've actually come to us and said what you're doing is good. And for me, that's I respect that, because I think we know what we're doing is important, but to hear it from somebody like yourself is very, very important. So if people need to get hold of us, go to Facebook and just type in Mental Health Motorbike. You will see the page and you will see the group. Join the group, and then you can actually be involved with other bikers in lots of really interesting discussion. We will then link you to the website, which is mentalhealthmotorbike.org.uk. If anybody needs to contact us, don't sit there thinking, I might do that. Just do it. And it might work for you, it might not, but at least you're taking steps to talk about your issues.
That's what they say. The first step is always the hardest. So, you know, make that first step, and then you've done the hardest bit, really. You know, so, right, well, thank you very much for your time this morning. And, you know, I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thanks, Mike.
Cheers, Mike. Thanks.
Guys. Take care, stay safe.
You too.